Y como parte también de esta ofensiva reaccionaria contra Siria, el llamado Ejército Libre Sirio atacó algunos de los campamentos donde se alojan históricamente los palestinos en Damasco. Allí hicieron realmente varios destrozos, asesinaron a varios vecinos del campamento. Esto provocó que todas las fracciones palestinas que están alojadas en Siria hayan hecho una declaración de solidaridad con el gobierno sirio y de repudio a esta invasión occidental que se está dando a través de fuerzas mercenarias. Y hablando de Palestina, queremos también darles a conocer un fragmento de un documental que se llama Esta tierra, mi tierra, Hebron, que fue realizado hace muy poco y que tiene que ver y cuenta la situación tremenda que viven los palestinos, sobre todo los de la localidad de Hebron, por parte del asedio, el acoso y la agresión explícita de los colonos. Ustedes saben que la situación de implantación de colonias por parte del gobierno israelí en los territorios ocupados es parte de, obviamente, de su ofensiva estratégica para lograr, a través de una limpieza étnica muy clara, expulsar a los palestinos de los pocos fragmentos de territorio que todavía le quedan después de las grandes invasiones que ha sufrido por parte de Israel. La película muestra realmente escenas que son lacerantes para cualquier ser humano que intenta plantearse una convivencia con otro vecino. En este sentido, se van a ver, y ustedes lo van a observar, cómo los habitantes de Palestina viven acorralados, viven en verdaderas jaulas, donde permanentemente sus hijos, sus mujeres son agredidas por estos colonos que nada tienen que envidiarle a los nazis de Adolfo Hitler, esos mismos que aterrorizaron a los abuelos o los padres de estos soldados y de estos habitantes que están practicando esta limpieza étnica contra el pueblo palestino. La respuesta por parte de los palestinos que viven allí es absolutamente pacífica, y ellos lo dicen con todas sus palabras, es quedarse en esas tierras, defender esas casas y tratar de que el invasor no logre su objetivo de expulsarlos de su territorio. Vamos a ver este documental que realmente vale la pena para darnos una idea de todo lo que sufre el pueblo palestino desde que ha sido ocupado por Israel.
There is no place under the occupation that I hate more than Hebron. There is no place in the occupation that I hate more to go and visit than Hebron, and I'm doing my best to be there as little as possible. Because in Hebron you get really the occupation in its most brutal, cruel, insane, crazy expression. It is really the place of evil.
احنا من حد ما اجوا المستوطنين سكنوا في تل رميدة هون من 82. يعني ساكنين هون، احنا بيتنا هون على اليمين، المستوطنين ساكنين بيننا على الشمال. الشارع هذا احنا كنا نمر منه ونجي بسياراتنا ندخل، وصف سيارتي على باب البيت هون. هاي مستوطن صف سيارته وانا ممنوع ادخل سيارتي.
روحنا من المحل من عندنا قبل ما نروح نفكر كيف بدنا نصل، نطلع من الباب المحل يمكن في مستوطنين بالشارع يجوا يحطوا علينا احجار قبل ما نطلع، يعني لازم نبقى عاملين خطه انه كيف بدنا نطلع على البيت. انه مثلا احنا طالعين زي ما قلت لك بدنا ناكل حجر يطبشونا، ما بنعرفش يعني واحد قبل ما يطلع من المحل لازم ياخذ احتياطات، احنا ما بنعرفش يمكن احنا ماشيين اي واحد يجي يطخ او شيء، يعني ما حتى الاولاد هم نايمين بقلب البيت. احنا هون كان هذا ما كانش في شبك هون، كان كله زي هيك بس دربزين، وهي لما اجوا المستوطنين صارت حجار على البيت حطت لنا اياه السلطه، يعني انت اي خضر كل الدار عندنا كلها عليها شبك، انه المستوطنين اي محل بيشوفوا فيش عليه شبك بيلطخوا لنا عليه، هي صار عشان محطوط الشبك يجيبوا مقص يوصلوا لنا الشبك. احنا على البيت ليش اسكر البيت؟ تدخليش انت ما تدخلي ما بدكش تسكر الباب. شافت صوتك يلا وفي يا بنت شو دخلت؟ ليش قاعده بالبيت؟ ما بدي ادخل البيت. ليش يعني بدي واو اتصلي بالشرطه. شو جابك انت على هالصبح؟ الله يجيبك شو بتعمل؟ لحالك شرطه لحالك روحي كلبي روحي مش عارفه شو بتعمل شرموط ديري بالك انت ما تجيش هون بدنا نطلع من برات البيت انت ما قلتليش عنا اتركيها مش عارفه شو بتعمل يا خيال.
To me, Hebron is being a pioneer, like in the beginning of the state of Israel. There are different types of swamps that people have to deal with. Then there were swamps and malaria. Now there are security problems and people who question our rights to living here. And by living here, we're stating a fact, and that the fact is that Hebron is the heart of the Jewish country, and it's where it all began. And we just want to have natural Jewish life here.
فديه شريف يجي شريف والله اللي موتوها عيد شريف يا فديه. خيال الولد بده يطلع، الولد هيو تحت مش عارف يطلع منهم. وين اطيح؟ الولد شريف الو شفتوش شو بيعمل؟ مش عم تضرب فيه بس ضربني انا مش شايف شو بيعمل.
كسفني ما
الولد تعال جيب الولد شو عم تصيح فيه انت مش شايف شو بيعمل. طب انت شوف الولد.
Today in the situation in Eretz Israel, in Israel land, there are many questions. Why are we here? Or may we give anything to our enemies? And we are in the middle of a war, even if we are not saying it loudly. And I think that in Hebron there are not questions, there are only answers. We're here because of our patriarchs, that the God promised them that the land belongs to us.
Hello.
You can say that this is the essence, the hardcore of the occupation. Because there are settlers living inside the middle, the Kasbah, the center of a Palestinian city. And you have the Palestinians there, and they are very extreme. And there is the army that's protecting them and protecting the Palestinians against the settlers. So you have all the elements for a Greek drama, you know. This is the essence of the occupation.
Hey! מה מפריע לך שאני אצלם?
אתה יודע שזו פרובוקציה, אתה יודע שאתה עושה פה פרובוקציה.
באת לעשות פה פרובוקציה.
זה שטח
אתה
פרטי
באת
אגב.
לצלם מאוד בתמימות, הכנסת פה ערבים שאסור להכניס אותם. מאוד מאוד מאוד. אחר כך תבוא לצלם גם את החלקים שלנו עפים מרוב התלהבות. כן. מאוד מפריע לנו.
חיים את חייהם, אנחנו עושים את שלנו.
כן, אתם לא עושים את שלכם. אתם בדיוק כמו המחבלים שעושים את חייהם. תפסיק לנסות לחרחר ריב. תפסיק.
I think the camera is protecting me. Like I can be in situations that without camera it will be much more hard to bear. And with the settlers, like, you know, you're seeing stuff here and sometimes thinking, just, you know, these people, what can we do with them? Because it's so crazy. I wish them a normal life, less hate, because they hate all the time. They hate. You see it in their eyes. You see in the body language. They hate. They're full of hate.
We are living in a liberal democracy with a free press and all of the other things that we take for granted in a democracy, and yet the reality in the occupied territories is very, very different. And surprisingly, in spite of the free press, in spite of the fact that you have hundreds of journalists covering the situation, it remains the case that the Israeli public really doesn't know what is taking place in the occupied territories. And I think they don't know because they choose not to know.
There was a war in 1948, a very long war and very cruel war, in which Israel gained 78% of the country of Palestine as it existed before. There was another war in 1967, in which Israel conquered the rest of Palestine. And the moment this war was finished and we saw these huge territories which we had conquered, there was a natural desire by some people to annex it to Israel. And after a few weeks and a few months passed by and we suddenly saw there's no pressure at all on Israel to give back these territories, then slowly some people said, why not? Why shouldn't we get there and put our settlements there? The idea was to annex these territories. Wherever there is a settlement, the idea is to annex. The obstacle is that there is the Palestinian people living there. And then the question arises, how do you annex all these territories with 2.5 million or 3 million Arabs, Palestinians in them? And there are some people who say, just not take these 2.5 million Palestinians and push them out of Palestine, as we did to half the Palestinian people in 1948. So these are the settlers, these are the extreme settlers, and the most extreme are in Hebron.
حط الشبك هذا الجيش الإسرائيلي عشان المستوطنين بقعدوا بيجيبوا حجار برموها علينا إحنا على الناس اللي بتعدي من الشارع، فعشان هيك تركبوا كحماية لإلنا. فهلقيتها يعني هم هلقيتها عشان الحجار ما بتنزلش علينا صاروا يكبوا مي علينا ويكبوا الأشياء الوسخة علينا اللي بتنزل من الشبك اللي بتقدر تعدي من الشبك.
مية وسخة تبعت الغسيل، مية وسخة بيحطوا فيها مواد كيماوية بيرموها على الناس. الجيش بياكل في صحون، بيبعتوا له القيادة تبعتهم في صحون بشخ في قلبهم وبرميهم على الناس. شو بدنا نقول؟ يعني إذا بدك نحكي بنحكي جرايد. بنحكي جرايد.
Hebron is probably the only city in the West Bank and Gaza, in the occupied Palestinian territory, to have settlements that are implanted at the heart of the city. And really the result of that is the slow death of the Palestinian population center for the benefit of the expansion of these settlements. You can see this as a trend since 2000, since the beginning of the recent Intifada, with the closures of all entry points into the old city. What we have since 2000 is closed areas where no Palestinian vehicle movement is allowed, another area where Palestinians are not allowed to go through, and no presence of Palestinians is allowed, and then you have closed shops.
You can't pass freely, you can't go freely to your hospital, to your home, you can't go freely to another village, to another city, you can't go to your university. More and more Palestinians are leaving, they are not allowed to open their shops, they are not allowed to access their homes. Even inhabitants are searched whenever they go in and out. They are doing everything possible to pressure people, to make them leave the old city so that settlers can take control.
أنا 5 متر من هون البيت تبعي. هلا بلف من فوق يعني حوالي نص كيلو باجي منشان أعدي. فلكن هون 5 متر يعني بعد السد هذا أنا 5 متر بيتي. لما أنا بدي أسكر هذا ليش سكرته؟ بقول لك وضع أمني، شو وضع الأمني؟ شو مسويين؟ شو فيه؟ بقول لك وضع أمني. هاي سكروا 8 متر 6 متر. يعني هذا سوبر ماركت كان، هذا استوديو تصوير، هذا بقالة، كله محلات كانت فاتحة هون وحياة عايشة الناس فيها. من شان بقول لك 400 واحد ساكنين هون، سكروا بلدي بحالها.
There's enough states to the Arabs. There is not Palestinian nation. There is not. There was not a nation before we came here, and they are not today. They came from many lands and states. They were Bedouin. Okay, that's what they was. There was not Arabs here before we came here. There was only some hundreds. Okay, 100 or 100,000. This is not what we are talking today. And we have to look at the eyes and everyone in the world and say, that's not their land.
The settlers in Hebron and people like them have a clear-cut solution for the conflict, that is ethnic cleansing, pure and simple. All the Arabs, all the Palestinians have to leave Palestine. If you want, on the book of Joshua in the Bible, God commanded Joshua to kill every non-Israeli in the country, and after 3,000 years or so, they stick to it.
My name is Asmi Dandis. I am the owner of this house. I am with my family, and we used to live it since 50 years.
So it was occupied by...
It's now occupied by 20 people. Up there, they are staying there.
But I need that you know.
We've heard that they have taken another house. Which house?
This house, my neighbor.
Who? What's his name?
His name Sha'rawi. This is my neighbor. Was living inside this house, and when he go outside to his land outside the cities to stay a few weeks as in summer usually, they come in. And when we talked to the army, he said, okay. Then he closed this door to us and opened that door for the settler. This is what did by the military governor of the army.
Well, if they are still going to be thinking that they are God-chosen people, well, we do not believe that God is a real estate agent saying, okay, this land is for you guys and this guy is for you. For me specifically, if there's going to be a God, one of his most important merits is that he's going to be just, that he's going to be fair. He's not going to be saying, okay, these are my people and the rest of the people is trash. This is something that is not just us as Palestinians. No other people will accept that. That treat us as less than human, and not only that, you're going to take our land and deprive us of all of our rights. Nobody's going to accept that.
We can't just say this is a crazy group and we have nothing to do with it. We Israelis, we all carry responsibility to what is happening in Hebron. And therefore, so many times I feel myself deeply ashamed to be Israeli when I see those things, because it's on my behalf. Those people are there under my government, under my state, and I'm part of it, and each of us Israelis are part of it, and each of us Israelis are paying the price.
I see, go there! Okay.